Well, hello there, folks. This is Customizing the Clone Wars. I am your host, as always, Peak Obi-Wan Customizer. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Um, Getting ready to talk Grievous Intrigue. It's funny, when we were talking last week, we thought we were going to be doing the Zilla Beast episodes, and I looked and we actually got a ways to go before we even get to those. But yeah, this one is Grievous Intrigue. It's episode 22, and this one's kind of cool because we get exposed to a couple of new Jedi.
Yeah. And if I didn't introduce him yet, this is my co-host, Darth Daddy. He is from Customs for the Kid, doing all kinds of awesome things over there lately. Been busy, huh?
Yeah, we just wrapped up Karina. She's crack free now, which is great. Elias was doing the touch-up paint on her this weekend, and she's wrapped. And then I just made a exclusive reveal for tonight's episode that hasn't been posted yet. And I hadn't really did a custom for the week for the blog, so today I did battle damage Kylo Ren after Rey kicks his butt
Good.
on Star Killer Base. Oh, thanks. Yeah, so that was just quick. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to do. A little drilling here, and then some really quick minor sculpting and a paint job. It was really fast, easy. Recommend everybody give it a try because there's not really a lot to it. It's not hard to do.
Awesome. Well, folks, if you have not seen our show yet, like I said, it's Customizing the Clone Wars. We are going to be talking about Grievous Intrigue. If you haven't seen our show, what we do is we talk about Clone Wars, and we do customs along the way. Characters that we feel might have been in the show. We really think we both share the same opinion that Hasbro, the toy company that designed the toys, did a great job. Don't you think? They really did a lot of stuff.
In a lot of ways, I think they were the best figures that had ever been made by Hasbro, or at least in that time period. You had the Build-A-Droid, you had Clone Wars going. It was definitely the golden age of Star Wars action figures.
Yeah, I agree. We talked about this in some of the episodes that we did where we weren't sure if we wanted to buy them because they were animated or they were skinnies, right? I really, they grew on me over time. I really love them. And we have a lot of great characters. Tonight in this episode, the air date for this episode was January 1st, 2010. So 2010 was when Darth Daddy and I met, and it was definitely an awesome time in the Clone Wars. And we're doing these actually season by season. And like we said, we're in season 2. So let's get started. I will read from the episode guide. Even though they play that out in order, we're doing it, like I said, by season. So here we go. General Grievous has captured Jedi Master Koth. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Adi Gallo race off to rescue their colleague. Obi-Wan allows his ship to be captured by General Grievous, while Anakin and Adi try to slip through the cyborg general's defenses. The Jedi are walking into Grievous's trap, so Obi-Wan is in great danger. And before we go on, or before we get into the episode, I feel like this episode was controversial. You know what I'm saying? Because and I don't want to lose you on this one. I pretty much agree with what George does, but I got a question for you. Why do you suppose they brought in different Jedis over the course of the 3 prequel movies that played the same characters? But they were clearly different, but I feel like they should have been the same characters. Don't you, or do you feel
Well,
differently?
I know that there was some actors that weren't available for all 3 movies, so
Right.
I know like you had Ali Gali and Stas Ali, and that was a situation where the actress couldn't return. So rather than recasting the role and confusing everybody, they just got a similar, someone from a similar background, or an actress that was from the same planet that had the same appearance, but they just renamed her rather than like, oh, I thought she looked like something completely different. And I think they did the same thing with Eth Koth and Agent Kolar.
Yeah.
They, I guess maybe the actors looked different enough where they felt like let's just rename this character. So I think a lot of it had to do with actor availability, and that was the reason why they had to change people's names. And but they stuck to the same alien species rather than just getting a completely different alien altogether.
Yeah.
And maybe that could have been cutting costs too, because you have prosthetics, or it's like, do we want to like and do a whole new alien species when we already have these prosthetics? We could just get an alien with, an actor with a similar build that we could use the same prosthetics and cut corners and save money here or there. It's hard to tell why they did what they did, but
it could be a can of worms. For me, I feel like they should have just kept the names the same. And maybe people don't share my opinion. Even if the character looked a little bit different, they were clearly the same kind of outfits, the same kind of costumes. I think it was essential that they needed those characters in there. So why change the name? That's just that's kind of my opinion. But tonight we are going to see a couple of those characters, and Dave went to George and he was like, I want to bring those characters back. Some of those leading Jedi Council members, right? They were clearly missing from the show as we started the show, right? Because that 10-year gap had gone by, and we weren't sure, what characters were going to actually be in the leading Jedi Council roles, right? So what Dave did is he actually brought them back, and so that's why I think this is so kind of controversial in my opinion, because he brought back the actual ones opposed to the change-ups, the people that you thought were different, just different enough to make you mad, right? I love that. Anyway, that can of worms. I'm rambling on. Let's get started with this episode. So we will go right into the fortune cookie. It says, for everything you gain, you lose something else. What do you think about that?
It's probably like how you get a pay raise and you think you're going to be getting ahead, and then you get hit with a ton of bills that, like a car repair that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, the universe.
That's why I think I hear stuff like that. Yeah, just the way the universe works.
Or you always think about Yoda, and when he's talking about wars not make one great, or something like that. There's always a give and take or something like that. You're always going to lose something when you're in a fight, right? You're never really winning the fight, right? Because you're fighting. So here we have not Engon Kohler, Ethkoth, right? The cool one, Ethkoth. Yeah. Because we know what happens to Engon Kohler eventually, right?
He ends up passing away in episode 3, is it?
No, he gets cut down by Palpatine. He's one of the guys that actually goes.
Oh yeah.
But
with
here,
Fisto in them, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's kind of why I wish they didn't change the whole thing. I just wish they, like I said, can of worms. I wish it was just they just kept the same names, even though they didn't really look alike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a contractual thing.
I think Abe Koth in the comics or something, he passed away even before episode 3, from what I remember.
Is that right? Yeah.
I believe so. Don't quote me on that, because
it's
one of those like background memories that you don't know. Is it accurate? Is it not accurate? But I kind of remember something like that. Yeah, it's more along those lines.
Yeah. But here we are in the action, and Grievous is actually boarding his ship, and they get the alarm or something like that, saying that they're trying to board the ship. It's like DEFCON 5 or something like that. And here he has his troops, and we actually got who is it? Is it Locke? Locke was his exclusive commander, right?
Yeah, I think that was the only action figure from that I guess, company that we ever got. It was like he was like a one-off. We get this one green guy, and we never get any more of those.
Yeah. And I affectionately call these the Green Bay Troopers. Yeah, because I actually live in Wisconsin, so you know, gotta root for Green Bay every once in a while. So what I did here, this leads me into my first custom, and with that character, Commander Locke, he was a Kmart exclusive. I thought, I guess I wasn't watching. If you look at this photo here, you can see that their designs are a little bit different. And what I did is I made Bay here. This is just a repaint, a custom repaint of the deco that Locke had on him, except he wore more of a kind of a Commander Cody kind of helmet. So what I did is I just repainted this guy to look exactly like him, only he was just a regular clone trooper. And then I went back and realized that, and there's Locke right there, if you can see that. I realized their look was a little bit different. So I actually had to go back in and change it and make the accurate look. And there is my version of the Horn Company Trooper. And that is once again another repaint of the character. What do you think of that?
Those are great. I kind of wish I had a more diverse, larger group of those guys.
Yeah, I try to get at least, you know, from my personal collection, and a lot of this was actually commissioned that I did for somebody, the Horn Company one, Horn Company Trooper. I don't really have a name for him, but I try to like do every unique character to the Clone Wars. Eventually, by the time we reach Episode 3, there wasn't a single white trooper, was there?
No, not very many. Yeah, I don't remember any really.
And that's what was really cool about this episode was everybody had deco. Eth Koth's characters had deco. Obi-Wan's characters had deco, and so did Anakin's. The 501st. They were the blue ones, right?
Yep.
So here we have Grievous boarding, and it's very Star Wars, right? It's they're cutting open the door, and here comes Grievous, right? And we haven't seen Grievous in a while, so this is kind of a nice return to seeing Grievous again. I guess he was like hiding because of his failures, right? Because of his failures with all the different things, like the lair of Grievous and all the different things that he was dealing with Count Dooku.
Yeah.
You know, so now he's finally back, and he's kind of a jerk in this one, but he's really good, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I like whenever Grievous is in. I like that they used him sparingly, so he wasn't like constantly being defeated. And this is really one of his successes when you think about it in this episode.
Right. Yeah, he was just relentless. So he goes on to fight Ethkoth, and he knows that he's a leading council member. And just a warning from Dooku that it's going to take a lot more to best a Jedi Master, especially from the council. So he starts fighting them, and he's just relentless, and he has his Magna Guards hitting him in the back as he's fighting, because he's just no match for him. If you can see this image here, if you look at the glass, Eth Koth had thrown him up into the glass, almost shattering it, but he came back down, and they just electrocuted him. Eth Koth gets electrocuted a ton of times up in this episode. But then they take him away, and we go back to the Jedi Council, and this was totally awesome. Because we got all kinds. I don't really have an Easter egg tonight because there's a lot of just little things in here that I'd like to call the Easter egg. And right off the bat, if you look at this image, we have Ahsoka and Barriss, and they're walking into this scene, if you can see it there. If you can see that.
Oh yeah, I see them. They're in the bottom right.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Yeah. So they're walking in. There's a couple little dudes in there and everything, and the whole council is just talking about the situation because Grievous actually calls them and said, threatens them. Basically says, "I have this Jedi Master, and come and get me if you want to get me." So there's a lot of cool characters in there, and
yeah, actually we got to go. Oh wait, if you go forward, I think that's the only thing that has Sora Bulk, which is the only figure I did for this episode.
Yeah. Oh man, I right away I spotted that, and that's one of the little Easter eggs I'd like to throw in there. You see from the back, you see a Weequay Jedi, and right away I just went, "Oh man, it's Sora Bulk! They finally got him in there."
That's pretty cool.
I was so happy. Oh man.
I didn't realize it was him. Like when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's an easy custom I could do," because I had a bunch of Weequay, like Clone War Weequay heads, and I knew I had a lot of braids, and I had a bunch of those Clone Wars bodies from one of those Asian sellers that has like 10 for like $10.
Yeah.
So I was like, "That's a quick, easy one that I could do," because I did a lot of running around this weekend, but. Yeah, I just made it really quick. And when I was looking for pictures so I can get more reference photos to make it, as I start saving pictures off of Google, some of them were labeled as Sora. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Sora Bulk. I would have never known because they never refer to him at all in the show by name. But by going through the pictures, then I realized that, they had produced a Sora Bulk in Clone Wars. They just never utilized them as one of the dominant characters that were, was in the forefront of a story. Right. And then he was always more a background character. But it was cool that they actually produced him for the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and
in the comics, he had a pretty developed story in the comics.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Dave. He has that connective tissue that we're always talking about. I think the more connective tissue they have, it makes more people happy, and it just makes a more well-rounded Star Wars, don't you think?
Oh God, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, while we're at it, let's see that custom you have for us.
Sure.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'll get that shared up right now.
Yeah, I was so excited to see that guy. He was so cool. So here we go. Go ahead.
So yeah, this is basically that's that Obi-Wan body that I was talking about that I got from one of the Asian sellers. I just had to paint the gauntlet to remove Obi-Wan symbol. And then for the head, I have a mold for this head. So, and I didn't even have to pour the mold because I had a bunch sitting and waiting, and I have this pirate bag so I can make pirates on the fly whenever I want. Yeah. And I just grabbed a bunch of the braids that were sitting in there, and yeah, I just made a quick Sora Bulk so we'd have something.
And where did you get the braids for that?
The what?
The braids. Where did you get the braids?
Oh, the braids I stole off of Hondo.
Oh,
cool. I had a lot of Hondos, so I just started biting them off with my teeth because I couldn't find a scissor. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, those are really versatile characters to use. Both him and the Shahan Alma, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. That's a really nice custom. I can't wait to do one myself. I got the similar body. I'm going to use that same recipe that you just offered. So appreciate you sharing that. And while I'm on there, let's see here. I'll go back to my screen share. And we have a couple other characters in there. Looks like we had another, what was Kit Fisto's Padawan's name?
Oh, Nadar,
right? And
they apparently that commercial. You ever remember? Did you ever watch? 138. Yeah, that commercial she did. The Nadar. Oh, that was awesome.
They're so funny,
Yeah.
With their stuff, it's so cool. But it appears that they've used some of the similar assets. So that's the beauty of customizing the toy line as well. You can use an Obi-Wan body, you can use an Anakin body, and you could just pretty much piece together different things and get a really great result. That's one of the main reasons I like to customize Clone Wars, is because it's like G.I. Joe. You can almost kit bash characters together. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely. That's a great thing about the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and next to our Mon Calamari Jedi, we have another really cool female Twi'lek Jedi, and that's going to lead us into something we haven't done in a little while. We're definitely going to get back to it, but we would like to do a shout out, and I'm just going to have you keep talking, and I'm going to turn that over to you.
Okay. Yeah. So if you look in that, when you were looking at that last picture, there was a Twi'lek Jedi that was in the upper right-hand corner next to that calamari,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a Jedi that goes by the name Finn Erte. We actually have a custom that we could share that was made by an artist, Azareth's Art, and he's actually only 16 years old.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so it's really cool to see, like, some of the younger generation getting in there and getting into
Mm-hmm.
customizing. Because there's not a lot of people really customizing. Well, there are people who are customizing, not in the Clone Wars that much. There's very few that customize Clone Wars action figures, at least in the 3 3/4 inch line in the traditional sense. And yeah, this is great. He used a Barris Offie to make this. He actually, if you go, I found this artist on Instagram. So if you go Azareth's _ art on Instagram, that's where you're going to see all his stuff. And he actually shows you his build on his Instagram site, showing how he built this. But the head and the body are actually a Barris Offie, and I think he did a killer job.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
Oh, you're not seeing it?
Oh no.
Oh my God! All that time. I'm like talking.
Yeah,
you guys are seeing it.
You got to post that up for us, man.
Okay, are you seeing it now?
Definitely. Oh wow.
Right, cool.
Yeah,
That whole time I was thinking you were seeing it, but I love the soft goods that he used for the skirt as well. But you could definitely see that the Barris body and that it's a. You can't really tell it's a Barris head. He did a nice job on the sculpt work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the eyes you could tell a little bit, but yeah, I thought he did a great job on her.
That is fantastic. Wow. Is that the only shot you have there?
I do have some more. I not in this folder though. Hold on. Just talk for a couple seconds while I look it up.
Sure. And the great thing about this character is, and I got to get my Yoda going here. We see her later on, actually in action. This is another picture. I won't tell you where it's from, but it's coming up, and it is the future you see.
Yeah, isn't she? I want to say that this is a close up, and then I have one more like from the side, so you can see how the purple was painted in on the sides and stuff, and the full length of her Leku and stuff. But from what I remember,
It's so cool.
Did she was she killed by Maul and Savage down the road?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, she did though, right?
Yeah, she does. She does later on. They actually use her, which is good. Man, that Filoni, man, he is so cool. He finds a way to use pretty much everything that he's put into this show. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, so I like how they reuse some like unique assets, like often.
Yeah. So thanks again.
Several times.
Yeah.
Throughout the Clone Wars. I can think of maybe 3 more episodes where I saw him.
Cool. Well, you'll have to point him out as we go.
Well, maybe we'll just show Sora Bulk again when we hit those episodes, because I don't know how often. I don't know how many of you tune in for every episode, or only tune in like when you get a chance.
Yeah, sure. So thanks once again to what was the artist's name again?
Azareth's Art.
Azareth's Art. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great work, dude. Keep up the great work. We will certainly have more shout outs, when we see amazing work by different artists. We're not going to, take all the limelight ourselves, even though we like to, don't we?
I mean, I always like seeing everybody's stuff. I get really excited about it. That's why I've been showing everybody's stuff for years on the blog.
I recently saw someone do just a bunch of troopers, just amazing work, and I can't think. can't remember the name. I'll go back and I'll hunt the guy down, and maybe we'll give him a shout out next time on our next episode. But we're certainly going to be giving more shout outs, folks, and we're actually going to have some guests too eventually. Just sharing, their love for the Clone Wars. Yeah. So look out for that as we go. But let's get back to this episode, right? We certainly have a lot to say about this episode. It's starting to ramp up, isn't it?
It's starting to hit a stride at this point where things are getting a lot of fun, getting to be more fun, and I think they have more assets to work with. They have more planets and settings to work with, and I think the investment as far as budget and everything has been enhanced too. They're able to do more than they were when they first started.
Sure, absolutely. And these next few episodes are some of our absolute favorites. We have this one, Grievous Intrigue, and then the next one connects to it, and it's called The Deserter. And then the next one after that is Lightsaber Lost, and that's one of our all-time favorites. But we'll stick with this one right now. So here we have back to the episode. We are in the Jedi Council room, and Grievous is making threats, right? And so we see all these Jedis, and there's some little Padawans in there, and they get all upset because he's very violent. So another thing I noticed about it, and there's Bach back there.
Nice.
Another funny thing about it is Terrace Nube is actually in this episode as well. And he is
That's
in
really
Lightsaber.
before we get a good introduction to who he is and
right,
his personality and everything.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that Ahsoka's standing right next to him, and the librarian. She's like, she introduces him like she didn't even know him. one of them little quirks or something like that. But we'll move on. So he makes a bunch of threats, and I feel like this is the first time we see Wolf, Commander Wolf, with his eye knocked out, and he's in his armor, right?
Yep.
Because we did see him in his Imperial, or not his Imperial, but his Republic outfit with the eye knocked out, and we did realize that was done in a comic, or they explained that in the comic. That it was actually Ventress. I still haven't pulled those comics out. I will eventually get to them. I have a series of comics where they actually talk about his eye getting knocked out by Ventress, and it's actually a really cool series from the Dark Horse comics. So let's move on. We realize that Eathcoth is giving us hand signals, and they see that he gives away the position. It's Saleucami. Another great thing about the show is as you watch them, you get, I guess, proper pronunciations of the names. I used to call the planet Seklemi. It's that planet that you see in Revenge of the Sith, where Stace Ali is flying with her with Neo and all them. Yep. So here we see that they're going to take on Grievous, and they're going to go try to save Eathcoth since he's still alive. You can't lose a leading member of the Jedi Council, I suppose, right?
No, it's not recommended.
Yeah. And they take off in one of these Republic ships, and man, that one would have been so cool to have, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, it reminds me a lot of the Emperor's shuttle, which is it would have been nice to get an earlier version of that.
Yeah. So they're taking off, and Anakin is going to perform kind of this. Kind of reminds me of the Force Awakens, where Han is like doing all these hyperspace jumps, right into the planet's atmosphere. So he's going to attempt to do that, and I'll discuss that in a minute. But check this guy out. This is definitely something I'm going to get to. This paint job, this tactical droid, he is so cool. I call him
It
the
looks
mall
like
tactical.
graffiti on there almost.
Yeah, or something, right?
Has
He's
that
just
street art look.
yeah, really wicked, right? Red eyes and everything. He has the different color eyes and everything. But I unfortunately don't have a custom of that, folks. So sorry about that. And here is what I was referring to. You get this awesome shot where we actually see Anakin slow down, and the light waves or the light years or whatever, the starlight like flashes by. You know what I'm saying? Super cool. And he's used to pod racing, so it's no big deal to him.
Yeah, it has that slow shutter speed effect where
Yeah,
all the
right.
lights just bleed out,
Yeah. So they land upside down, and here is Adi Gala, and this is my first exclusive reveal tonight. Is I produced an Adi Gala for the show. Check her out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and if you're looking at it here, if you can see that, this character was made through a number of steps, long steps. I made this character back when this episode came out. I was so excited for this character. But if you look at it, you can see kind of the recipe I have going here. She is a mix of Clone Wars and the regular Adi Gala. I used her upper torso, but the arms are absolutely Clone Wars. The cloth is from obviously Mace Windu, yep. And then the legs or the boots are Adi Gala's original boots, just done up on I believe that was what's her name, Luminara Unduli. And can you tell that the head is Luminara Unduli as well?
A little bit. It's not really pronounced though. It's not immediately
Yeah.
obvious. After
Yeah,
you say it, then you're like, okay, yeah, now I see it. But
yeah, what I thought I'd do is, I wanted her to look Clone Warsy. I don't know if I pulled it off or not, but what I did is I hollowed out the helmet, and then I put the Luminara head in there. My first attempt, it's not always, they don't always come out exactly the way I want, but the beauty of it was the gauntlets. If you look at the gauntlets, I didn't have to paint that on there. I actually didn't paint those symbols on there. Those came from Plo Koon. Isn't that cool?
Well, that's nice when you can find something like that and make your life easier. I love shortcuts.
Time saver, yep. But the one thing I did sculpt on here is the belt portion where her lightsaber's hanging from. I did that whole thing. That's total custom belt there, and I made that actually out of Fix-It.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So there she is. Pretty cool. I like this character a lot. I think she's super cool. Let me see her a couple more times. We were saying before we started, I feel like this is her episode. She's the one that teaches the lessons to both Obi-Wan and Anakin as they go along, and she's just flawless. She just kicks butt. And this is Anakin and her, and they think that they have their own kind of reconnaissance mission where they're gonna rescue him, basically. They're gonna rescue Eth Koth and while Obi-Wan is distracting Grievous, right?
Yeah, and what we find out later is Grievous engineered this whole thing knowing that there was going to be a rescue mission for Eth Koth, and basically the Jedi play right into everything that he had predicted.
Right. And he sets up this ambush, and we actually get Grievous opening his arms up again. And if you look at this image, Obi-Wan is actually fighting with one of those the Magna Guard spears. What do we call those? Electro staffs?
Electro staffs, I think.
Electro staffs. Yeah, he's fighting with the sword and an electro staff, but he's not really winning right now, is he?
I don't know. Is he about to do a backflip or is he actually falling?
No, he like hit him back because he yeah,
Oh,
he was falling. But he almost this is where they're talking about, you know, Obi-Wan is in danger, so he's just trying to distract him as long as possible, even though he's just coming at him with this barrage of hits. And I've shared this Grievous before. I actually took the time to make retractable arms for my Grievous. I did a number of other things on this Grievous. This was the one that I produced utilizing that keychain head, right?
yeah. I ended up grabbing one of those.
Cool, good. Yeah, what you'll have to do is I don't have the image with us right now, but the head was actually made from a keychain, and I just loved it because it was right around the same size as the figure at the time, but the fans on the side of his head are just so pronounced with the keychain. So that's why I used it.
I have the keychain right here.
Let's check it out.
Yeah, it's in my hand.
Very cool, very cool. He's not perfect, you know. He's stuck in statue mode and whatnot. But if you do a little repaint on it, it's really awesome. Really,
yeah.
awesome.
I think the head on this figure is really cool. And the way you painted it, as you can tell on the keychain, there's not much going on there, so you can really see all the detail that gets, you know, brought out when you painted it.
Man, I don't know how I thought about that, but or how I thought that up, but I was just in a Walmart one day and there it was, and I just grabbed it up because I suppose when I made this character, we really didn't have a great Grievous, right? He had all kinds of problems standing and whatnot. And so that's why I made all these added elements that you're seeing here. A lot of these pieces of articulation came from like commando droid. Was it a commando droid? Is that what those are called? The great one.
The ones with the that they used in the Rishi Moon.
Yeah, right. They actually use them in this episode also, and those are the droids that they use to ambush.
Anakin and Anakin.
Yeah, right. And I don't know if this is another little Easter egg thing that I didn't put in there, but did you notice what happened when he's getting electrocuted? I don't know if you're seeing this image, but it just flashes super quick. But since it's October, I thought I would show this image. This was another I timed it just right on the screen capture. Check that out.
Oh wow! Look at that. It almost reminds me of the way Luminara looks like in the Rebels episode when you find that she's basically in a coffin, but she has that same look on her face.
Yeah, if you look at this picture, it's kind of. It harkens back to when Vader's getting electrocuted, so they just put a little like skull type of thing in his in the electrocution.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I thought I'd put that in there. He almost looks like an evil shaman, like casting his magic or something like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, so I thought I'd just share that real quick. And we get a lot of little bumbling and whatnot. This tactical droid gets his arm knocked off by Anakin, and he just keeps saying or laughing or something. They kick it around.
Oh yeah, that's the best part because he finally gets it in his hand, and he's like, "How am I gonna push the button?"
How am I gonna push the button? And Anakin just pulls him towards him and just kills him. And they get away with him. But so Grievous eventually realizes that Obi-Wan's just holding him up. So he gets into his little spider kind of mode, and check it out. His foot is like activating
the door behind him as he's going.
Shutting the door behind him, and he just keeps going. And here we see Cody and his men, and they get another grappling hook on him or harpoon, and it seems like they're always taking him down with with
some kind of spear on a rope or something.
Yeah, a rope or something. That's the only way they can hold him down. But I'm surprised more people didn't get killed by Grievous because he was just throwing them around and stepping on them and whatnot. But here's that example I was talking about where everybody has their deco, and I just adore that. You know, the team has their colors on. All the team colors are working for everybody. And here's Adigala again fighting Grievous. She had to go and help Obi-Wan because he was in peril. Because obviously Anakin can't see Grievous again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always that thing that we can't have him see Grievous because they are introduced to each other in Revenge of the Sith, right? So unfortunately, Obi-Wan's ship gets blown up, and those poor clone pilots, right? The commander pilots, they get blown up in the ship. So Anakin goes and picks those guys up from Grievous's ship here, and we realize because this ship blows up, it actually hits Grievous's ship on the way down. So his whole troop is in peril as well, and they end up going down to the planet, but all their ships are damaged. So they're kind of in trouble also. So it's kind of a draw, right? This
basically sets us up for what will be our next episode.
Yeah, the deserter, right? So they get everybody back on the Jedi cruiser, and he basically thanks them and everything, and they say they're going to go after Grievous, and that is the episode.
Who's in the back of that frame? Is that one of the Geonosian troopers?
Yeah, it is. They had a really nice setup in that hangar. I unfortunately didn't get more pictures of that hangar, but man, they had like the ATTE tank driver in the background. They had a whole bunch of pilots. They had a bunch of Geonosian troops still running around, I guess. Wow. I guess from what we were seeing, in the previous episodes, we were on Geonosis. It seemed like forever,
long stretch, yeah. I would say that was one of the longest arcs we ever had on the Clone Wars.
Right. It really was, and it had an unbelievable amount of figures that, as we discussed over the last
22
episodes. Yeah, 22 figures that Hasbro produced just for that arc. But so I'm guessing that's why we saw a lot of those on the cruiser. We eventually pull away from those, and we see a little bit more unique troopers as we go on. And I don't know if we see those again, the Geonosian troopers. They were just for that episode, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember. This is the only time I really remember, and I didn't even realize they were in the episode, so I just saw it in that frame.
Right.
But I think it's the only other time I ever remember seeing it.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Once again, thanks a lot for joining us. We always appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. We just like to share our perspective about the Clone Wars and show our customs along the way. Any tips and tricks, we love to give those to you as well. No one is more perfect than another. We can always learn something from anybody, right?
Customizing. I'm still learning techniques, and I've been doing this 6 years.
Yeah. I've been doing it 20, so I found out. Unfortunately, from my Dremel breaking down, I use a Dremel tool. There's all kinds of different tools you can use too in customizing, and Dremel tool ultimately it's a rotary tool. It helps you grind down figures and whatnot. Maybe we'll bring one on and we'll show.
That Kylo Ren post I did today. Right. In the post, there's a hyperlink. If you click on the word Dremel, it will show you what a Dremel looks like, and it'll take you right to a page where you can purchase one.
That's really awesome that you do that.
And I did the same for Procreate, too. The word Procreate in that post, if you click on Procreate, it'll take you to show you exactly what the Procreate package looks like, and it's an Amazon link, so you can actually purchase it from Amazon while you're there.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you guys do great work over at the Custom for the Kid blog spot. That's really cool. And so thanks again. My name is Peak Obi-Wan, and if you want to find me, I'm on Facebook at Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations, and I'm on Clone Wars Custom Figures, and I'm actually on Instagram, and that's going well. You can check me out there at Peak Obi-Wan Custom Figures. And where can we find you?
You could find me at www.customsforthekid.blogspot.com. From there, you can get links to our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Tumblr, Google Plus, and I just want to thank everybody for the visits to the Google Plus. We hit 10 million today, 10 million views, which, man, I never would have in a million years thought that would have happened. But I just want to thank you, everybody, for your visits. And yeah, until next week, may the Force be with you.
See you guys.